scorecard.
You are the number one.
It's a great shot! Oh, and a wonderful save! And it's a terrific effort! Oh, what a goal! He's done really well! He scored a super goal!
"33 games added up to 83 goals. Huddersfield's Lee Makel scored one of the best. The rest are on the way. They've won just 5 games, now they're on to their 5th manager. But Jan Mulby reckons he's big enough to face the Swansea challenge. And the only way is up if he can match the side of the early 80s.
Oh, a fantastic goal by Thompson!
Well, it was back to the future for Watford Football Club this week. Nearly 20 years after they first teamed up for an unlikely success story, Graham Taylor and Elton John were back at Vicarage Road, determined to put the success story back into Watford and to save the club from relegation. Well, much more on Graham Taylor and Elton John and Watford coming up. We'll kick off, though, at the top of Division 1. It's now 17 league games unbeaten for Derby County, a new club record. John Helm is the commentator.
Oh, Van der Laan missed it. It's found its way into Burton. He gets between the two, Hall's in the middle. Burton licks it across, Hall coming in, scores! Derby 0, Portsmouth 1, Paul Hall. Dion Burton did so well there. He was in between the two Derby defenders like lightning after the mistake initially by Van der Laan. And Paul Hall poaches the goal right on the goal line. Derby 0, Portsmouth 1, a real setback for the Rams. 20 minutes left for Derby to get something from this day. It's not often they're behind. They're behind at the moment. Not for long. There's the equaliser. And it's a rare goal indeed for Dean Yates. Went through to Van der Laan, good return ball in here, good finish, great goal! What a fabulous goal from Dean Sturridge. It could well be that Jim Smith will be rewarded for being adventurous again in bringing on Gabbiadini, a striker, when he'd gone a goal behind. Let's see if they can get a third goal from this corner. Gabbiadini! Goal number 3 it is! Victory surely now for Derby, and a new club record of 17 matches unbeaten in the league as a result of that Marco Gabbiadini header. Pethick supplied the width and the short ball into Hall, and then it breaks in here to Griffiths, and Carl Griffiths on the turn, goes down, penalty. It's Alan McLaughlin. It's 3-2.
But Derby's lead is now back to 7 points. Oldham were overrun by Charlton Athletic's bright young side, but they didn't go under. Instead, Stuart Barmer's shove on Nicky Banger put Oldham within sight of an unlikely victory. Lee Richardson put away the penalty. Only for the Oldham hero, goalkeeper Paul Gerrard, to undo all his good work, with a missed punch 5 minutes later. Barmer had the first shot. Substitute Kim Grant scrambled in the equaliser. And for the final 20 minutes, Oldham were under intense pressure. When their offside trap went missing, Grant should have wrapped up Charlton's 8th away win. It could be a costly miss. Sunderland are closing in on that second automatic promotion place. Here's Roger Thames.
Howie looking for the 1-2, perhaps Russell with a good turn. Michael Gray well placed. That's an own goal. Julian James from Michael Gray's cross. It was a good move developing there for Sunderland, but James stuck it past Ian Foyer, who had no chance. It's an own goal classic that gives Sunderland the lead. 7 minutes to go to half-time. Oldfield. Oldfield running onto it well. Good break this. Oh, marvellous save from Taylor by Gibbon.
No mistake from Huddersfield Town this time, and no comeback from Crystal Palace, who after 7 goals and 6 points had been expected to provide more of a test. Ben Thornley, on loan from Manchester United, hit the post. Andy Booth scored his 15th of the season. It was a deserved lead, and a second goal had been coming. Even if it was rather fortunate, Booth caused the problems. His shot was deliberately handled by Tony Gale, according to the referee. Big Ronnie Jepson arrowed the penalty kick into the top corner. But a 2-goal lead hadn't been good enough against Wimbledon or Charlton in Huddersfield's previous games. They needed that third goal, and the talented midfielder Lee Makel provided it, wrong-footing Andy Roberts. On this form, Huddersfield are well worth a playoff place. A winner at last at Wolves in midweek. Leicester manager Martin O'Neill was convinced his side had done enough to make it 2 out of 2. His new signing, Neil Lennon, was at the centre of events, creating a good goal for Neil Lewis. But then came Lennon's second contribution. O'Neill said he did nothing wrong, but the referee penalised Lennon for a push on Lee Nogan. Reading need every break they can get right now. Stuart Lovell extracted another precious point. Tranmere Rovers are still without a win this year. These two sides drew a blank at Stoke earlier in the season, and with both goalkeepers inspired when they needed to be, a second goalless draw was the outcome. It seems Wolves can now forget about relegation and concentrate on closing the short gap to the playoff places. Eric Young hasn't scored too many easier goals. It was a sign of just how one-sided this game was. Southend's third defeat running was a formality 5 minutes into the second half, as Don Goodman and Steve Bull constructed a fine goal for another Wolves defender, fullback Andy Thompson. After 2 defeats, Millwall's new manager Jimmy Nicholl had banned any talk of promotion. His United Nations of a team included 6 overseas players. The Russian Sergei Yuran helped create a first Millwall goal for Bobby Bowery. Then the German Uwe Fuchs connected with a corner from the Dutchman Jason van Blurk. The Norwich manager Gary Megson isn't talking about promotion either. We could get drawn into a second successive relegation if we're not careful, said Megson. Mike Milligan scored their consolation. This was Andy Walker's first Sheffield United game since signing from Celtic. It was Brett Angel's last. He's now back at Sunderland, but their one-off alliance saw Walker make the winner for Angel. The Tannoy played welcome home. There were a few tears from the older generation. But Graham Taylor's romantic return to Watford is also a business deal very much on his terms. The press were given strict instructions as to where they could and couldn't go. 2 days earlier, Elton John had co-starred at a press conference, helping deflect more of the media attention as Taylor emphasised his job description. He will be a general manager, not the fall guy. That's Luther Blissett's job.
If I wish to remain in football, then the logical extension of my career would be going to this type of role. And if we are to stay up, then Luther Blissett will play a very important part. May I suggest a more important part probably than myself, if we do achieve that. And then if we don't, well, Luther can go.
But Taylor's overriding caution is understandable. It's just 3 months since his acrimonious split from Wolves.
The team cannot gain confidence if the board of directors and a section of fans do not have confidence in their manager.
Taylor intended to start listening to offers in the summer, if at all, but then came the call from the Watford owner Jack Petchey. Crucially, it was followed by another from Elton John. Like brothers was how the former owner described his relationship with the aspiring manager. During the 10 years, Watford rose from 4th to 1st Division to the Cup Final and European nights. Taylor was so popular, not even the England experience could damage his credibility at Watford. This week proved it.
He's a living legend. Elton John is part of the team. Luther Blissett's the third piece in the jigsaw. Watford fans are so pleased to have him back because he's Watford through and through. He might have come from Lincoln, but at the end of the day, look around, look at the smiling faces.
I used to come to this club and cringe sometimes at the standards that have been lost. I mean, the dressing rooms, for example, they haven't been touched since Graham left, and we've got to, you know, the stands have been built and everything, but we've got to really have a mass kind of clear out, and the cobwebs need to be got rid of at this club.
It does seem as though you're desperate to become involved again. The bug is back.
Yeah, well, I mean, Graham and I had 10 great years together. I would love to become much more involved in this club than I have been over the last 3 or 4 years, and I will be.
For the moment, that amounts to moral, not financial support. But on Saturday, Elton John wasn't the only Watford fan glad to be back. The crowd was up a third to nearly 12,000. Taylor was on the front line, helping Luther Blissett settle in. They'd selected the team together, and it was the giant Devon White, a throwback to the beanpole strikers of Taylor teams past, who inspired a great start. He roughed up goalkeeper Richard Wright. Kevin Phillips carried on the good work, and it was White who claimed the first goal of a new era. To win enough points to stay up, Taylor has demanded 20 shots per game from his players. Much will depend on top scorer Phillips, but after another air raid from White, Phillips contrived to miss not once but twice. The state of shock appeared only temporary. A minute before half-time, Tom Mooney's shot kicked off the surface, back off Wright. Steve Palmer returned it with interest, and the Watford smiles just got bigger and bigger. But not for the first time, it was a Dutchman who destroyed Graham Taylor's special occasion. Gus Uhlenbeek is no Dennis Bergkamp, but early in the second half he was given the same sort of respect. Ipswich had turned the game around, and there was nothing Taylor or Blissett could do about it. Sapped by their high-tempo efforts of the first half, Watford's midfield were overrun. Uhlenbeek dashed down the right again. Alex Matthew was left alone to equalise. For the final 20 minutes, Watford were just playing by memory. But league defeat number 14 will linger as painfully as any. Matthew's turn and shot climaxed the Ipswich comeback. Taylor must have wondered what he'd done to deserve that sort of cruel twist. In returning, he's taking a risk. The memories of that glorious decade might end up being tarnished. But Taylor kept his thoughts to himself afterwards. Facing the press and trying to talk a good game is now Luther Blissett's responsibility.
It's like a patient ill in bed. You've got to do it little by little, and it's a slow recovery, and it's only got to be done day by day, and that's really what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and of course Graham Taylor and yourself and the fans do hope that you're going to get results quickly enough to lift yourselves out of the bottom three.
Of course we do, because you don't want to lose too much ground on the teams in and around you. So we know we've got a few home games coming up, and they're the ones really that we've got to start to make sure we get something out of, and then we try and nick whatever we can when we go away.
But Saturday's defeat and Sheffield United's win means Taylor, Blissett and Watford are now 7 points behind the rest. They do have matches in hand, but Luton were the only other side in the bottom 10 to lose. It's looking good for Derby County, 7 points clear, but victories for Sunderland and Huddersfield increase the pressure on Charlton in that second automatic promotion place. Stoke and Leicester stay in the top 6. Aston Villa booked their Wembley place last week, edging out Arsenal on away goals. But their big day out will not be an all-Birmingham affair. On Sunday, Leeds United were too good for the Football League's last survivors. The commentators are Ian St John and Alan Parry.
Yeboah with a splendid header, but Johnson covering well. However, he's given it straight back to the Leeds man. This is danger area for Yeboah, and it reaches McAllister. Great save, but turned in by Masinga. 9 minutes into the second half, the South African international Phil Masinga scores the goal that might well send Leeds United to Wembley. Kelly's free kick is a good one. Dean wins the header, and he's there again, and a chance for Yeboah! Two goals in 3 minutes, and Howard Wilkinson can start thinking about Wembley now. Crane's header back in. Comes to Sheridan, that's a penalty. It hit the post, and surely now Leeds United are home and dry. Wallace. Terrific ball. McAllister. And the little flick has taken it straight onto the head of Dean, and he's taken Leeds United straight down Wembley way with that goal. It's all over now for Birmingham. Leeds United will play Aston Villa in a month's time at Wembley in the Coca-Cola Cup final.
Well, he's had a bit of a mix and match game, hasn't he, Big Brian Dean? He got a little bit of luck there. McAllister's cross deflected on his head, and he just buried it in there at the back post. You see here, there's a cross going in. There's a flick off a defender. Brian Dean, well over 6 feet, up he goes, nods it down.
Port Vale play Leeds United in the FA Cup this week. Even if they go out, they could still play at Wembley before Howard Wilkinson's team in the Anglo-Italian Cup. In the English final at West Brom, Port Vale were the better side, and with the second leg to come at home, Port Vale are strong favourites to play Genoa in the Wembley final next month.
Swindon stay 3 points clear after their 9th home league victory of the season. Bristol Rovers are among the playoff challengers, and with Marcus Stewart in their side, goals are never far away. His 23rd of the campaign arrived on 12 minutes. The leaders hit back with 2 goals in 2 minutes after the break. Wayne Allison's well-placed header brought it back to 1-1. Sean Taylor was the match winner. Rovers had barely recovered when he struck the decisive blow. Now their thoughts turn to Wednesday night's cup replay at Southampton. Brighton remain in trouble, 3 off the bottom. They suffered another damaging defeat, this time at Blackpool, where they made an excellent start. Stuart Storer beat the offside trap to give them a surprise lead after 18 minutes. Mickey Mellon was Blackpool's saviour. He's fast becoming a modern-day Peter Lorimer. Manager Sam Allardyce believes he strikes the ball as hard as anyone in the Endsleigh League, and few would disagree with that assessment. His second goal of the game and the winner came a minute from the end. Mellon has improved considerably since his £50,000 move from West Brom, and thanks to him, the club stay on course for promotion. 2 late goals gave Crewe the result they were looking for as they kept up the pressure on the leading 2. They stay third after this victory. 12 minutes from time, Wayne Collins had the beating of visiting keeper Ian Andrews. And 2 minutes later, Rob Edwards, who's operating on a week-to-week contract at Gresty Road, claimed his 17th of the season. He'll hope it's enough to earn him a new deal at the club. Rotherham fans must be sick of the sight of Mark Jules. He scored against them back in September, and his goal at Millmoor on Saturday decided this local derby in Chesterfield's favour. Not a bad effort either. The home side had Ian McLean sent off for a second bookable offence. To the racecourse ground for Wrexham against Peterborough, Hugh Johns is the commentator.
Carter in a bit of bother, got out of it well. Here's Ward. Well, I wonder how much shirt you got to pull off before you get a free kick. Brace. Oh, yes! Oh, the most unlikely player to break the deadlock. In his 25th league appearance, Derek Brace has scored his first league goal.
At this stage of the season, Notts County need to be taking maximum points from their home encounters if they're to stay among the promotion contenders. Shrewsbury frustrated them and went ahead on 20 minutes. Steve Anthropos heading in Mark Taylor's cross. 8 minutes later, Paul Rogers earned County a point. Not even 3 defenders on the goal line could keep out the efforts. Carlisle, who were looking to consolidate after winning promotion to the second division, find themselves with a real relegation battle on their hands. Defeat, though, was the last thing on their minds as Jamie Robinson nodded them in front. But the lead wasn't to last long. Matt Elliott tried his luck with a long-range special, and Oxford were right back in it. Martin Aldridge then popped up with an injury-time winner for Oxford, a welcome lift for Dennis Smith's inconsistent side, and Carlisle have only themselves to blame. 2-1 it ended. It all came right for Wycombe Wanderers, and for one man in particular, John Williams, who was the hat-trick hero of the day, as Stockport found themselves 2 down in 9 minutes. The visitors had won their last 4 matches, but Williams put an end to that record. His second, a close-range headed effort to put Alan Smith's men firmly in control. The Wycombe boss must wonder why his team can't play like this every week. Dave Carroll has an eye for the spectacular. His solo goal, one to remember. It put the game beyond their opponents as he took on and beat the Stockport defence. There was some brief resistance as Mike Flynn cut the deficit minutes after the restart. But John Williams became the first Wycombe player to score a league hat-trick at Adams Park. He helped them to a comfortable victory. It was their best home performance of the season. Wycombe 4, Stockport County 1. Joe Jordan saw his Bristol City team notch up an important home victory. Courage and commitment were there for all to see. David Seal led by example as he showed his teammates the way to goal. Tommy Wright's equaliser was the highlight of Bradford's day. His lob dropped just under the crossbar. But their trip to the West Country was to prove fruitless. Martin Cool made sure of that as City made the most of the rare goal-scoring chances to come their way. A well-worked move and an emphatic finish. Three points. Made sure of that as City made the most of the rare goal-scoring chances to come their way. A well-worked move and an emphatic finish to claim all 3 points. Bobby Davison ended his lone spell at Boothbury Park with an excellent all-round performance. Now he must wait to discover whether the club plan to sign him on a permanent basis. Only 4 minutes on the watch when he created Hull's first for Richard Peacock. Davison then netted the second himself after the Burnley keeper Wayne Russell had made a mess of the intended clearance. Davison returned the ball with interest. Peacock scored his second of the game late on. This was Hull's second home league success all season. They still prop up the table, but it'll give manager Terry Dolan renewed confidence in their fight to beat the drop. Brentford completed the double over their fellow strugglers, but most significant of all was the fact that this was their first away triumph. Nicky Forster couldn't find a way through, but Paul Abrahams pounced and at the third time of asking, found the net. Brentford survived despite having Martin Granger sent off for a second bookable offence. Jan Molby is Swansea's 5th manager of the season. The previous incumbent lasted just 7 days, and Molby is under no illusions about the task facing him.
Yeah, it is a big challenge. It was a big decision, not only by myself but also by the chairman. He's appointed an inexperienced manager but an experienced player. What the future holds, it's hopefully going to be something positive. We're certainly just going to get on with the job. We're going to work hard. If we can get a reasonable response from the players, I can see a lot of improvement happening over the next couple of weeks.
The former Liverpool midfielder was outstanding throughout at York and played a part in their best move of the match, which resulted in David Thomas hitting the crossbar. Swansea possessed the division's worst defensive records, but they kept a clean sheet at Bootham Crescent and held out for a vital point. Molby is hopeful he can cope with the demands of being a player manager.
Yeah, probably. Obviously I've got at the moment Jimmy Rimmer on the bench, sort of being my right-hand man. And I've got to rely on my backroom staff because without them it's going to be impossible. But it's worked okay so far. I know it's only been a couple of days, but overall we were pleased.
But Jan Molby's Swansea City are still 5 points away from safety. Brentford's win means the bottom 5 are now 4 points behind the rest. Maybe there is still hope for Hull City, 3-0 winners over Burnley. The top 4 all won. Swindon remain 3 points clear of Blackpool with 2 games in hand. Chesterfield go above Notts County into 4th position. Wrexham go above Stockport into the top 6. Well, if Jan Molby can emulate the last Swansea manager with a Liverpool pedigree, he'll have done very well. In the early 80s, John Toshak inspired a meteoric rise, and 15 years ago, at a packed Vetch Field, Swansea beat Arsenal to go top of the old Division 1.
Irwin hitting it straight to Hollins again, who seems to be in all the action at the moment. Hawley's gone racing through the middle. Here's Brian Talbot, rifling a shot there, but wide of the Swansea goal. Leary, ball hitting Latchford. Talbot is there, but the bounce beat him. Mahoney is there. And in the end it falls for Davis. Played in for Sunderland. Paul Davis now with a chance to hit a left foot shot, and it's borne away there and over the top by Guy Davis. Good break by Arsenal. Good shot by young Paul Davis. Here's Curtis. Oh, what's a good little run by Curtis. And a shot that's deflected. That's the Eptich. Leighton James, the long cross there towards Latchford. He turned it back now. Leighton James there. Oh, it's a goal! Good header down by Latchford. A bursting shot by Leighton James. And although Jennings got to it, he couldn't hold it. Free kick. Wanting the Arsenal two-man wall to get back 10 yards. They look back a fair distance to me, but he floats one there with the outside of his boot. Oh! A fantastic goal by Thompson! Well, he's entitled to celebrate that. Astonishing goal by the big fullback. And his first for Swansea. Voila! And all Pat Jennings could do is catch the rebound.
The surprise of the day came at Ninian Park, where leaders Gillingham were stopped in their tracks. Phil Neal inherited a struggling Cardiff team, but he has the division's leading marksman on his books in Carl Dale, coming up goal number 26 for the City striker. And in the very final minutes, a Cardiff victory was assured when defender Mark Harris put through his own net in a moment of madness. The result enables Cardiff to move out of the bottom four. Gillingham's slip-up enabled Preston to make up ground on them. Andy Saville, a summer signing from Birmingham City, cracked home a superb volley just after the interval. But within 2 minutes, Scunthorpe will level through on loan Ryan Jones with a volley of his own to tie it up at 1-1. Substitute Graham Lancashire decided it 20 minutes from time with Preston's winner. Whether he knew too much about it is open for debate, but the ball just crosses the goal line and Preston are 3 points off the pace. There was a goals feast at Sixfield Stadium where the honours were shared. 6 in all. Doncaster, who'd missed an early penalty, fell behind when keeper Perry Suckling came for the high ball, failed to collect it and was hopelessly positioned as Ian Sampson scored Northampton's first. Just 10 minutes gone, they doubled their lead soon after. Neil Doherty's side-footed efforts found the mark. In the final minute of the first half, John Schofield reduced the arrears with a well-taken spot kick. After the restarts, Colin Cram dominated proceedings with 2 goals as Doncaster seized the initiative. He found the gap between keeper and the near post to bring the scores level, and the game was up for grabs. Cram then used his pace to devastating effect, and Doncaster were in the driving seat for the very first time. There was more drama to follow. Northampton, in one final desperate push, won a penalty. The referee spotted the handball incident, and deep in injury time, Jason White steered in a spot kick to make it 3-3. Lincoln boss John Beck feels 50 points should be enough to keep the club in the Endsleigh League. The draw helped edge them closer to that survival target. Keeper Barry Richardson will take much of the credit. His penalty save from Neil Fisher kept the scoreline blank. To Home Park for Plymouth against Barnet. Commentary from Martin Dean.
It's come out by Baird. Now Clayton looking to throw it through to Barlow, who's unmarked again. Can you get that cross in, this time towards Partridge? And that one will count. Scott Partridge turning the ball home. Tomlinson is in the middle. Ryan might try the shot himself, charged down by Williams. Wilson, finding Gale. It's an awkward cross, it took a deflection, Cherry having to punch it. Now Gale again, and that's gone in. Sean Gale has scored.
Bottom club Torquay were outclassed at Springfield Park. They held out until 2 minutes from the break. Spaniard Isidro Diaz, Wigan's flying winger, did the damage with a classy finish. But 2 goals in 4 minutes midway through the second half proved Torquay's undoing. Tony Black, who'd been brought on to replace the injured Wayne Biggins, increased Wigan's advantage. And defender John Pender sealed the victory with a header that just squeezed in. Wigan's promotion challenge is gathering momentum. Mickey Adams has been installed as the new team manager at Craven College, and the Fulham players responded in style. Rob Scott guaranteed them a first win in 7 matches as he struck twice. His contribution helped ease their relegation worries. Scott ensured they were 2 up with 20 minutes remaining. Leon Braithwaite managed a consolation effort for Exeter City, but Fulham had done enough. They won it by 2-1. Colchester carved out a 1-goal lead at Layer Road, and then, as so often is the case, failed to defend it. Tony Adcock put them in control, but with less than a quarter of an hour left, Robert Blake's free kick proved just too good for homekeeper Carl Emberson. Cambridge cruised into a 2-goal lead, but still ended up on the losing sides. Craig Middleton was gifted a first. Stuart Binson was at fault. His underhit back pass left keeper Gary Kelly badly exposed. Middleton then turned provider as he let the ball run for Dave Robbins. Increased Cambridge's advantage. 5 minutes before half-time, Mark Carter began the Bury fight back. His free kick cut the deficit. And after the break, it was substitute David Johnson who brought Bury level. With 12 minutes to go, David Pugh, their skipper, hammered home a free kick to put them in front for the first time in the match. And it was Mark Carter who grabbed his second with a minute remaining as Bury took the points in a high-scoring affair. 4-2 the final scoreline. Hereford are proving difficult to beat at Edgar Street. Another clean sheet for them on home territory. Paul Conlon took only 2 minutes to mark his league debut with Hartlepool's first goal of the afternoon. The Orient defence had no real answer, and on this evidence, Conlon could have a bright future in the game. Hartlepool had to wait a little longer for their second. It arrived on the stroke of half-time, courtesy of Joe Allen. United manager Pat Holland could only watch as his side slipped to their 10th away defeat. He accused his players of lacking character. Ian McGuckin's powerful header made it 3-0. And when Chris Lynch put his name on the score sheet, Orient were heading for a heavy defeat. They're in desperate need of some new playing personnel to kickstart their faltering season. Tony Kelly's last-minute reply came too late to make any real difference. Hartlepool 4, Leyton Orient 1.
The leaders lost, so Preston, winners over Scunthorpe, are 3 points behind Gillingham with a game in hand. Below them, just 2 points cover the next 6 clubs, and any side in the top half could yet make that third automatic promotion place. But Torquay are 10 points adrift at the bottom. 3 of the 6 teams above them won: Cardiff, Hartlepool and Fulham, who move above Lincoln City. OK, last word this week to one of the league's newest coaches, Luther Blissett, alongside me. Luther, back at Watford. An unfortunate start for you, but an emotional week all the same.
Yeah,
an amazing week for you.
Very much so indeed. I mean, I got the phone call on Tuesday night that, you know, this was all going to sort of kick off, and since then it's been really a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, you've had the hype of obviously myself, Graham and Kenny Jackett sort of taking over the reins of the management of the club.
Elton John as well.
That's right, Elton John's back as well. So, I mean, really exciting times for everybody at the club, and we hope for all the supporters.
Coming back, you're all coming back. I know Kenny was still here, but Graham, Elton, yourself coming back, is that a good thing? Is it going to be a good thing in the long term?
Well, only time will tell. It's one of those things that we've all come with the intention to put things right at the football club. Elton John's come back in because his affinity with the football club is still then. He's always had that love for Watford Football Club.
And he seems to have got it back in a way, doesn't he?
He has,
that
yeah.
love, you know?
He has, yeah. I mean,
the fact that you've come back and Graham has come
yeah,
back.
I think he sees that as hopefully what will be a catalyst to really lift the thing and start the thing rolling again.
It was a shame about the result on Saturday.
Yes.
Have you got what it takes still now when you look at the table, you and Graham and the players, to turn things around?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I really do. I mean, people may think, how can he be that confident about it? But on first half showing, you can't but be encouraged by it. I mean, the players really went out there and took the ball by the horns, and they really had a go. And I mean, to get it going 2-0 up was fantastic.
And how keen, how enthused by it all, I know you are, but how enthused by it all is Graham? Because it's been a sad couple of years for him in a way, but especially at Wolves, there was a bitterness there as well.
That's right, he has been. So I suppose this will be good therapy for him if we can get things sorted out, and at least we can get the spirit back and get the love back in the club and hopefully get the football back on track. So I think it'll be great for him.
Good luck with that. I know John Barnes has given you a ring saying good luck, hasn't he?
Yeah, John's a good lad, John.
Game at Stoke this week, good luck with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Well done to Luther Blissett. Better results hopefully in store for Watford. We're back next week. Join us then. Bye-bye.